Today, we're diving into the absolutely timeless and dramatic story of a queen who was so powerful, so sure of herself, that she thought she could challenge fate itself. But as we're about to see, some decrees, well, they're simply inescapable.
So this is the real question at the heart of our story today, isn't it? Can human pride, no matter how powerful the person, actually cancel out a divine prophecy? Let's find out.
All right, we're going to walk through this in 4 acts. First, we'll see Jezebel at her absolute peak as the untouchable queen. Then things take a turn with the implacable decree that's issued against her. We'll look at the long, strange silence that followed, and then finally the explosive conclusion where pride meets prophecy. So to really understand just how dramatic her fall was, you have to first understand the incredible, almost dizzying heights she fell from. You know, at the height of her reign, Queen Jezebel wasn't just a royal. She was, for all intents and purposes, untouchable, an absolute force of nature. Her word was law, her influence everywhere. So how did she get so powerful?
Well, it wasn't just one thing. Her power was like a perfect storm, coming from all directions. She had the royal bloodline, a super strategic marriage that gave her political clout, total religious authority, and of course, a staggering amount of wealth to back it all up. She basically controlled the whole board.
And this, right here, this gets to the very core of who she was. It wasn't just about having power. It was the belief, the absolute conviction that her position on earth was so high it could actually overrule a command from heaven. I mean, that's a direct challenge.
So all of that immense pride, that feeling of being completely untouchable, it led her to do something truly awful. The murder of an innocent man, Naboth, just for his vineyard. And that one act, it triggered a judgment that was, by its very nature, completely inescapable.
Now, to really get what happens next, you have to understand this term, an implacable decree. This isn't just some warning shot. It's a final verdict. It's a judgment that you cannot change, you can't bargain with, and you definitely can't run from. Once it's spoken, it is set in stone.
So what happened to her wasn't random at all. It was a clear cause and effect, a 3-step process. First, you have her openly challenging the divine order. Then came a direct warning from the prophet Elijah, basically her last chance to turn back. And when she blew that off, that's when the decree was issued. A very specific, very grim, and absolutely final prophecy.
And when I say specific, I mean chillingly specific. The prophecy said her end wouldn't be peaceful in her bed. No, it would be swift, it would be brutal, and her body would be left in the very same plot of land she'd stolen. It wasn't just random violence, it was poetic justice, tailored perfectly to her crime.
But then, the strangest thing happened. After this terrifying decree was handed down, the response from the heavens was nothing. Just silence. For years and years, not a thing happened.
And we're not talking about a short pause here. After the decree was spoken, a whole decade went by. An entire decade where Jezebel's power just kept growing. Honestly, if you were watching, you'd think the prophecy was just a bunch of hot air, totally forgotten. Think about that for a second. More than 10 years. A whole decade where she's still living in luxury, still wielding power, probably laughing about that prophecy that was supposed to be her doom. This long delay just made her even more sure that she was invincible.
And this is where the real tension builds, right? You have to ask yourself, had fate just moved on? Did she actually win her standoff with the heavens? It sure looked like it.
But she hadn't won. Because fate has a very long memory. And in the end, the reckoning did come. And when it finally arrived, it was every bit as sudden and as complete as the prophecy had promised. And here it is, the final dramatic contrast. On one side, you've got her defiant pride. Even as her enemies are at the gate, what does she do? She puts on her makeup and her royal robes, thinking she's still in control. And on the other side, the brutal, messy reality of the prophecy unfolding exactly as it was spoken all those years ago. It proved without a doubt that the decree, not her pride, was what was always in control.
And if you could boil this entire incredible story down to just one single powerful theme, it would be this. Delay is not denial. Just because justice doesn't come tomorrow doesn't mean it isn't coming at all. And that is the ultimate lesson from this ancient account. A divine word, once it's been spoken, it does not fail. It doesn't matter if it takes 10 years or 100 years. Time, it turns out, has no power over it. So this story leaves us with this one huge question to think about. In this great cosmic contest between human will and a divine word, between a queen's pride and a prophet's decree, whose word is truly and finally the last word?